All right, gentlemen, grab your mocktail, kick back, and let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Man Uncaved, the only podcast that gets straight to the point and doesn't make you feel like crap about it. Today, we're going to talk about repressed anger and its impact on masculinity. So, guys, buckle up. This one is going to sting a little bit, but I'm hoping in a good way, like a slap to the face from reality that makes you say, oh shit, I've been doing this all wrong. Now, if you're one of those guys who thinks anger is a bad word, like, oh, I don't get angry, I'm just passionate. Newsflash, gentlemen, you're probably in denial, and quite frankly, you're doing it wrong. So let's get started with the classic, how many of you, and yes, I am looking at you, Mr. I'm Fine, have convinced yourself that anger is for those other people? You know, those ones who slam doors, punch walls, and rage, quit video games like a bunch of amateur adolescent kids. You. Oh, no, you're calm, collected, and completely zen until one of those most trivial things send you into a rage spiral. And here's the kicker. Anger isn't bad. It's the repressed anger that's the problem. That shit gets you. Guys, I'm telling you, that shit gets you. I talk about that repressed anger all day long in my groups, in my private coaching sessions. You'll have guys talking about a situation and they posture up, their tonality becomes aggressive. And when you ask them that question, are you angry? No, I'm good. Straight up denial. And it's that denial of that repressed anger that is the problem with a lot of men. It's that repressed anger. It's like a unopened bottle of soda in the kitchen cupboard. And at first it's just sitting there, right? No big deal. But over time, it starts to build pressure. Then one day, you open it and boom, everything explodes. And if you're lucky, the only thing that's ruined is your self-esteem. And maybe your relationship with that person you just snapped at over a wrong pizza topping. So let's talk about the origins of that beautiful mess. Why are we so damn bad at handling our anger? Men for generations have been taught that showing anger is a sign of weakness. And think about it. Growing up, were you ever told to suck it up, man up, or don't cry like a little girl? If you had a rough day or got upset, the response was, be a man. Well, guess what? That's basically telling you, hide your feelings, pretend they don't exist. So here we are, years later, suppressing our anger so deep inside that we've forgotten how to express it healthily. Instead, it leaks out in all sorts of fucked up ways, of charming ways, passive-aggressive ways, workaholism, emotional withdrawal, or my personal favorite, blowing up at the slightest inconvenience. And we still wear this toxic, stoic man armor like it's cool. Well, spoiler alert, it's not. It's actually suffocating. All right, time to dig into the real impact of the suppressed anger. Let's talk about relationships. Gentlemen, let me ask you, do you have a tendency to clench your jaw whenever something bothers you? Or maybe you just don't talk about it and instead let your partner guess what's wrong? Oh yeah, that's healthy. Newsflash, repressed anger ruins relationships. You know, that look your partner gives you when she says, what's wrong? And you reply, nothing. That's the moment you should probably fess up to your unresolved anger. But instead, you bottle it up, keep it hidden, and let it fester. And over time, all that repressed anger becomes a time bomb ticking away until you explode over something completely trivial, like her not putting the laundry in the dryer the right way. Yeah, we've all been there. And honestly, I've been there too. I was so unaware of how much anger I had bottled up, one, from my childhood experience. There's societal, environmental things. And I just continued to push it away because I also had to recognize, and I heard a lot of stories of my father was a very angry man. And what he did with his anger is he acted out on it. He would act out in compulsive with drinking, behaving, infidelities, raging all over the place, getting in fights. So I learned very fast, well, I don't want to be that. And we also think about it from an environmental lens. We always see these angry men in movies sometimes, or we see it in our news, these men who are acting out violently on somebody or, unfortunately, a group of people. So this is something I had to definitely, in my own understanding, in my own healing journey, really got a deeper understanding of what was driving a lot of my behaviors. Most of us have probably heard that anger is a secondary emotion. And I believe it is, because under anger, when you start to understand what is under anger, is sometimes betrayal, humiliation, invalidation. So when you start to understand what is under that anger, we can get a bigger picture of, one, childhood experiences, but also get more specific in understanding what we are actually experiencing so that we can get clear and communicate from that perspective. Repressed anger doesn't just hurt your partner, it hurts you. It actually builds walls, it creates emotional distance, and it leaves you feeling disconnected and isolated. We all know that loneliness is the root of just about every unhealthy behavior you can think of. From binging on junk food to, you guessed it, porn addiction. Now, you might be asking, all right, great, so I'm fucking angry. So what? Well, first, let me tell you why it matters. When we repress anger, we also repress our ability to feel other emotions too. You can't selectively shut off your anger and keep your happiness and peace. It doesn't work like that. You can't turn the emotional faucet to off for the ugly stuff and leave it on for the good stuff. So guess what? You end up emotionally numb, disconnected, on autopilot, going through the motions, but never really feeling anything, including joy, passion, or satisfaction. Oh, and all the while, the anger, it's still bubbling underneath the surface, just waiting to cause a meltdown the moment someone cuts you off in traffic. All right, so now you're sitting there thinking, all right, cool, but how do I actually fix this? Well, here's the idea. One, let's just acknowledge our own anger. You're angry, own that shit. Don't pretend it's not there. Recognize it, even if it feels uncomfortable as hell. It's like popping that zit. It hurts for a minute, but it's way better than letting it fester under the surface. 2, express it constructively. You don't have to go all raging bull on the world. Find healthy outlets. Exercise, journaling, therapy. My men's support group could be a great one, where we talk about all of this stuff as men to see, one, we're not alone, and we gain insights from each other to see how we can move this repressed, suppressed energy in healthy ways. But the key here is to express it. Don't bottle it up. 3, let's start owning our emotions. Stop playing the victim. Your anger doesn't control you. You control your response. Reclaim that power. Stop letting it control your life. 4, forgiving and moving forward. If your anger stems from something you've been holding on to for too long, family issues, betrayal, hurt feelings, it's time to forgive. And this can be really challenging. And I even can say challenging for myself, because that pain that I had gone through growing up, it's hard to forgive those ones that have hurt. However, I can't continue to keep holding on to it, because I will continue to live in a victim consciousness from this repressed anger. And I can do that for 10, 20, 30 years. And I'll never be free, because I have to forgive. It's not about them. It's for myself. Because for you, the holding on to this anger really only hurts ourselves. So let it go. Trust me. Your future self will thank you. You know, it's not only within the family system that we have learned to repress this anger. You know, it's so interesting because I have a 12-year-old son, and, you know, we always used to watch all these Pixar movies. So that movie Inside Out, you know, there's this scene at the dinner table, and Anger wants to have a moment to explore himself. But there's this really deep undercurrent of trying to keep him in check. And this is where, especially when joy or the others step in to avoid conflict. Even within that scene, there's a message of repress the anger. Well, you can have the anger, just knowing how to express it in a healthy way. If we have learned from long in childhood to repress it, it stays undeveloped. It doesn't know how to express itself. It doesn't know how to be assertive and use it in a healthy way to put boundaries, to protect ourselves, to self-advocate. So here is actually the bottom line, man. Stop bottling your anger. It is a pressure cooker, and the sooner or later it's going to explode. I see this again all over the place in relationships. I see this passive aggressive. I see this aggressive behavior patterns. I see compulsive behavior patterns known as addiction, drinking, using, behaving to release this anger that is just bottled up inside. And it is just self-destructive for ourselves, for our loved ones in relationships, for our kids, for humanity. We just keep doing the same thing. I once heard, I believe it was Voltaire, it was, history doesn't repeat itself, man does. It is time to change and have a paradigm shift. Let the anger move. You know, I work with a lot of clients, and we're doing a lot of deep diving into some inner child narratives and beliefs around growing up, being neglected and abandoned. And he had called me, he says, I'm really angry. You know, I don't want to be. And I'm like, this is good. This means things are finally moving. This is what we need to happen. You know, transformation is really allowing ourselves to feel the full spectrum of emotions. We have been so disconnected from our anger. Either one, we were told we weren't allowed to be angry, showed we weren't allowed to be angry, or we observed people in our lives that had anger with no boundaries. They were just shameless ways of expressing their anger against us, other parents, against each other. And so we just learned how to abandon that part of ourselves. But we're learning how to love all parts of ourselves. We don't just get to pick and choose the parts we love and discount the others. We have to learn to love all parts. All parts are welcome. So guys, we do not have to stay in this cycle. Start feeling your feelings. Embrace your anger and then channel it into something productive. It is the same energy. You know, recently I've been doing a lot of research on my own part, looking at the polarities of anger, because I truly believe that anger is a misunderstood emotion, and it has a great propensity to act out. So on one side of your anger, you have this idea of death-instinctual, this thanatos, where it wants to destroy life, including our own life and others. And on the polar opposite side, you have this life-instinctual side, this eros that brings life together. And we've seen this through the history books, where the same energy, the same anger has used to bring people together, the civil rights movement, the decolonization of England from India with Gandhi. That same anger, that same energy that existed, but was more life-instinctual. Let's bring it together. Of course, on the polar opposite side, we've seen where anger and repressed anger has destroyed life, the Holocaust, genocide, religious prosecution. This is also the capacitive anger. So they have the polar opposite sides, death-instinctual and life-instinctual. So it is the same energy. And I'm more on a home front with my own case studies around anger when I work in my coaching and I work in my private practice and my groups. I see the repression of this anger, and it has the capacity, and this is where I truly believe that suicidal ideations come in play, where they want to destroy life, including their own, because of this repressed anger. All right, everybody, that is today's episode of Man Uncaved. We talked about the toxicity of repressed anger and how that affects us as men in masculinity. It affects our relationships to others. It affects our relationships to ourselves. And we become distant and isolated and abandoning our own self when we don't allow those parts to be validated, to be heard, to be seen. Again, men, we need to come out of hiding. All right, gentlemen, you heard it all in today's episode, and now is the time to do something about it. If you're tired of pretending your anger doesn't exist, and you are ready to start doing the real work of owning it, processing it, and using it to fuel your growth, it's time to join The Gathering. Now, The Gathering is my all-men's online group, and it isn't some fluffy kumbaya nonsense. We get real. We break down the walls of repressed emotions. We dig into the roots of the stuff we've been avoiding, and we actually support each other in doing the hard work. So it's time to come out of hiding and step up, because you're not going to fix this on your own. You need brotherhood that gets it. The Gathering is exactly that, a space where you can show up as you are without judgment and start doing the heavy lifting. So guys, honestly, what are you waiting for? 5, 10, 15, 20 more years of doing the same bullshit? Sign up today. The link is on the description of this episode. It's my website. Go to the menu. You'll see service. You'll see The Gathering. And let's start breaking through the bullshit together.